Hey, good morning, and yeah, it's morning for me, and so you can see the sun coming in from the east. I love this part of my house in the morning because obviously the windows the sun comes in through the windows. I'm watching this really cool YouTube, and it's about Japanese wrapping, speed of Japanese wrapping gifts, and it's really amazing. I mean, they are wrapping without tape and wrapping hot food, and it's lightning speed. It's just remarkable. I mean, it's actually just amazing. And no tape, so they wrap the ribbon around 2 times, and then tie, and then wrap it around one other time, tie, and then they pull through the ribbon, one loop only, boom, the box is done, and then you unwrap your food. I mean, that's food, but also in the department stores, and so cool. All right, so typically on Saturday mornings, I get up and I go work out at a local park with some ladies. It's called Olander Park. And today I'm bowing out. I'm not going to do it. And so the other thing I often do is go to, I'm smiling because there's, in the background, you could probably hear it, but they're talking about chopsticks. And there's like an entire display of chopsticks and titanium metal glasses. Titanium glasses. That's my nickname, by the way, for this Olander, it's called FIAs, Females in Action. What an amazing community of women. Oh, so anyway, yep. I'm gonna turn this down. I'm actually gonna. This is intriguing, but it also is distracting. So let me just go. But anyway, I did some reflection this morning. Pause that. And a lot of times I do Bible study, but today I didn't. I just kind of did some reflection. It's, you know what? It's reflection about solitude, being alone. There are plenty of people in my life that just long for, quiet, solitude. And it's not something that I have easily embraced. It has been, I was thrust into solitude, right? Learning to, I don't know, appreciate being alone, not having somebody to talk to. People laugh when I say this, but I often say, I don't want to become the bird lady or the cat lady. I don't have cats or birds, but, just that person that, walks around and talks to the birds and the cats, and it's like a stream of consciousness. And anyway, it's been real challenging for me. Excuse me, y'all. And now I'm kind of wondering, I wonder if I'm gonna, I'm starting to appreciate it. I really am. I appreciate the quiet. I appreciate the freedom. When the kids and when my husband was alive and the kids were in the house, oftentimes what I wanted to enjoy on television or, the main TV was always taken, and I usually didn't sit. Actually, I just would be in the kitchen, or sometimes I would just be upstairs, and or if I did come in and sit, I'd be watching whatever they would be watching. So as far as my kids are concerned, drove them crazy, but I didn't let them just idly watch television. I would say, what do you, when they say, can we watch TV? I'd say it has to be something educational. So then they would have to tell me, typically, so cute that my daughter would say, can I watch the Weather Channel? Yeah, go watch the Weather Channel. Or my son loves sports. He liked SpongeBob. Not me, I didn't. But his rationale was, it's humor is intelligence. so I'm like, humor is a form of intelligence. Yeah, I'll buy that ticket. And then my other son loved like Bill Nye the Science Guy and lots of, I don't know, other stuff like, yeah, but he's more business minded too. So it was super fun when I was in grad school because I would share what I was learning. And that one, he just seemed to pay attention, right? I mean, I teased a lot, like, mom gets a degree, you get the education, right? Anyway, they're all in their 20s, and ladies and gentlemen, but ladies who are struggling with the empty nest. Listen, I get that. Suddenly it's super quiet. What I don't get is the empty nest with the spouse, because my husband died when my youngest son was in the 8th grade. So I was thrust into being a single mom. And it was a very traumatic situation. And gosh, the responses and reactions to it by my kids was really hard on me. And so, just trying to give them enough space and, to heal. And I'm just not confident that I navigated that very well, but meaning I hurt through it. And hopefully they hurt less through it. But a couple of good things of growth that came out of that is I did a deep dive into helping. I thought I was going to be helping my kids learn how to navigate grief. Now, I'll try to tie this into the empty nest thing, because in a way, and listen, I don't care how bad your divorce is. I don't want to be too insensitive, but please do not, if somebody is grieving, do not compare your situation to theirs, because it's one of the most tender situations, and you're not helping somebody when you say, I know exactly how you feel. I blah, 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 blah. It's probably a statement that is going to fail. Nobody knows exactly what anybody else has been through or what they're going through, but what you can do is share your experience, your strength, and hopefully you can share hope. But, empty nest, it's been different. It's been way different than I expected. I don't know. I hope that my experience will give other people strength. That's all I'm going to say about it. But my kids are, and maybe your kids are like this too, it was really frustrating me how they don't seem to know how to communicate. They don't check in, and then if I would check in, I would get a, yeah, mom, okay, mom, one word response, text, for God's sake. And the communication has just been lackluster, and, unsatisfying for me. So I've had to turn to friends, and so church and friends and community have been my concentration. So I've had a lot of fun with AI, still learning. I have created a website, Thor Wellness Group, and I'm not sure that I'm effectively doing it just yet, but I want to be able to share my story to help people find wellness. I heard something this morning, it was actually on an ad, but about in America we go to doctors. No, it was in a YouTube clip. It was for a podcast, but that in America we go to doctors to stay sick. And many times we're in toxic relationships or toxic situations, and we keep ourselves sick. And so that is something I have concentrated on and resisted. My primary care professional is a nurse practitioner. She's very empathetic. She rarely suggests medicine, and my primary focus has been through, I guess, cognitive behavioral counseling, getting coaching, and some anti-anxiety, but very, yeah, I guess moderation would be when it comes to the medication. The first 10 years of my career, I worked with people that were severely handicapped, and so nonverbal was the most challenging part, right? So we became very observant, right? We would observe how they responded. We would observe are they going to the bathroom regularly, and not like, don't get so gross that you're like, analyzing the content of the poo. That's not what I mean. But I mean, are you, were they urinating? Were they going to the bathroom? Were they eating? Did they get outside, exercise? And we just saw, and eat well. I mean, and so we just saw some really marked improvement when we kept those. I had, I don't know, 5. Yeah, my 5 men between the ages of, I'm just going to round because I don't remember exactly, 15 and 35. And so nonverbal. And but anyway, when it came to medicine, and especially when it came to things that were along the psychiatrists and stuff, yeah, I was pretty astounded with how liberal and loose the doctors would try new things, and when they were failing and not doing well, the doctors would say, just give it time, and give it 6 weeks. And I'm like, no, so anytime whether it was for myself, whether it is for myself, whether it was for my kids, that whole medication thing, there's such a thing as addiction to, I don't know, placebos, addiction to the doctors. Sometimes I listen to some of the people in the community, and, their favorite topic is to talk about the medicine they're on, or, that's hard. So anyway, emptiness. When it comes to figuring out how to be with yourself, self-care is, I don't know, it's of the utmost. And so learning to listen to your body, learning that you are worth splurging on as far as money. I am not a big time spender. I'm not a big spender, and I try very hard not to waste, in my marriage. Definitely my husband was a spender. I was a saver, but all that to say, learning to navigate without my husband has been surprisingly challenging. And so maybe that points to my dependence on others. Maybe it points to some dependence on him. But nonetheless, those young people that are finding their independence and learning to cope, I can honestly say that my husband never did that. He never really broke free entirely of his mom. And to the extent that she was over a lot, which was fine, but when he died, she blamed me. And there's just a lot of unhealthiness in that family. So I worry about my kids. I hope that they will recognize that some of the boundaries we put up were guardrails to try to keep them from unhealthy situations and maybe away from people that, we knew were not good. And we're not living healthy. So back to this empty nest thing. I mean, the positives, right? I mean, if I don't want to go to the grocery store, I don't have to. If I want to make something, I can. If I don't want to make anything, I can just graze. I can take my time with the laundry, or it's really, it's just kind of a recentering. And it's not around recentering around, I think, my ego or me. It's more like, what do I deem as a priority today? And then doing that, right? And so, I don't know, I'm learning. Early in my adulthood, my dad gave me this Franklin Covey planner. Franklin, meaning modeled after Benjamin Franklin. Covey, Stephen Covey was one of the authors, and Hiram Smith was the other author of that book. I always find it interesting when people co-author books. And then, of course, Stephen Covey rose to, this place of 7 Habits of Highly Effective, I think, marriages and children and 7, so things like that. And then Bible study. I have been studying the Bible since 2000. I think it was 2000. I think in 2000 I started studying the Bible, but I would say in September 2001 is when I was like, okay, God, you got this life. You got this. And so in my counseling, I'm working through some things and trying to stay anchored in the present, be hopeful for the future. So more to come on that. I'll share tidbits, or who knows, maybe the book will get written. We'll see. All that to say, this has kind of just been a monologue and a ramble, but thanks for joining. And if you're struggling because you are a widow, and you've lost somebody, I would highly recommend that you do some of the things I did. Like I said, I did a deep dive into grief. I would say, for me, one of the most interesting and a very effective program that's often offered in the communities, in the Christian community, is Grief Share. And what's nice is, I think it's really important to try to go to every single session. I think there's 13 sessions. And if you can't make it, make sure you go back again. But the facilitators of Grief Share, when I first went, they urged 3 times through so that you get familiar with the material, have time to process it, and then, maybe you can completely process through your grief 3rd time around or so. I've been made aware that is going to be sunsetted, or the material that has been around for 30 some years, and that the that there's new material. Our church is going to be doing a new Grief Share in February, so I may go through it again just because I'm curious about the new material. I really think COVID-19 will be front and center relevant. I know suicide is, which is, my situation. My husband's death was suicide, and it was brutal, and it was unbelievable. People said things to me like, did you know he was going to do that? Excuse me. Was it a surprise? Did he leave a note? All these rude questions, but I've actually had people ask me for insight on how to prevent suicide, and I really honestly think that the answer is that it has to come from the person. You have to recognize your value and and take care of yourself. And so getting help, reaching out and not isolating and really talking through your hurt feelings. Like, we've been saying this for years, get counseling. There's 800 suicide lines. My uncle was he'd answer the phones for the suicide hotline and talk to people. But listen, if you're a family member or somebody who died by suicide and you're struggling with it, call that hotline, because those people are trained and they are I've done that. Not that I was suicidal, but I wanted to talk to someone who had some knowledge about suicide, because I just felt so isolated and thrust into just this abyss of, oh my gosh, total shock, trauma, so on, so forth. So those are some thoughts. This has become this computer and this recording of my thoughts has been somewhat cathartic, but it's somewhat therapeutic for me. So sometimes I just ramble and I do the stream of consciousness, but nonetheless, I encourage you to take care of yourself. And if it means stepping away from your normal routine and not working out and or not going to, like Saturday mornings, typically I get up, I go work out at a park, and it's beautiful there. And it was a beautiful morning today. So yes, I missed it. But do you know what? I've had a really good morning just being quiet at home, thinking. And my reflections this morning, I do feel grateful. And I'm not always super strong from a wellness standpoint. My body physically sometimes will it's almost like thrown into this state of flux that is hard to cope with, like this headaches, I have amplified hearing, and I'm super sensitive to light and noise. A lot of the symptoms of migraines, but the medications that have been prescribed to me in the past for that have not been effective. And not only that, I get flagged. I got flagged one time when I went to work at a job because I was on medicine for migraines, and I was like, why am I getting flagged? Like there was a very low dose even in my body because it was PRN, and I would only take it as necessary. So I think the Eastern cultures, and this is a think thing, I do not know if this is true, but I think Western culture actually uses pharmaceutical drugs way too quickly. We push into that. If a medicine doesn't work, they try another medicine instead of pulling back and trying to see if you can naturally and maybe holistically heal. And so there's a lot of common sense when it comes to that stuff. Nature is a huge part of it. So, but so is solitude, and so is quiet. But if you are lonely and you're feeling very negative about, being alone or not having the relationships you desire, just please do what you can to nurture yourself. And that is a very hard place to be, because I think the definition of loneliness all in itself is, when I say these words, I do not want you to take them lightly, nor do I want you to use them loosely, but I think it's a place where you're longing for companionship and the presence of others. And I think sitting in that and working through that is healthier than maybe rushing into something else, or getting a dog, or getting a bunch of cats, or becoming the bird lady. So anyway, God bless you. And especially for those people who were like me the first 10 years of my career, and you're in the human services field, please take care of yourself and listen to your body. And keep encouraging people, because that talking through of situations, but also helping people see that their value as human and as being a human being is priceless. I do think that helping people not put their worth in, or the majority of their identity in outside things, and learning to just be a human being, and accept, their circumstances. It's a noble profession. So thank you for listening. Oh my gosh, if you stuck with me, I really appreciate that. And be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but also be kind to yourself. And please try not to criticize yourself. Just please try to say, okay, I can learn from this. What can I learn from this? Okay, I can learn from this. And even if you don't know exactly what you're supposed to learn right now, just embrace the more to come as far as realization. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. And that was 26 minutes of thoughts. So hopefully you got some value from this, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Okay? Bye.